Alright, today we're going to clean the slip clutch, which is located right here in the center. We need to extract this entire shaft. It's connected over here. It's tied in with the switch cluster, so we need to remove the switch cluster as well. I'm going to show you how to do that in a way that I'd actually perform it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the guard with a 4mm Allen wrench. Get that out of the way. Alright. Now I've got a T30 torque bit on the end of here. I'm going to go ahead and remove. I've got 6 screws to extract. I've got 2 screws up here. I got 2 on the lower bottom on this side, 2 on the lower bottom on this other side, which would be the left side of your screen. I'm going to bring you up here real quick. Hopefully I aim this properly. So you got to take out these 2 down here, and you got to take out these 2 over here. But do not remove. You don't have to remove the 2 on the sides of the square shaft here. All right, these 2 can stay. Alright, go ahead and extract your square shaft. Set it out of the way. Go ahead and take out the top screw. Set them in the tray here, in the side channel. You don't have to do everything in the exact order I'm doing it in. Okay, but now you got some switches here. You got your A, your B, your C, and your D. We need to get those out of this housing. I like removing the A is hard to you can't remove it very easily. It's got some set screws in it. If you got a little screwdriver, Phillips, probably number 1, I think, you could remove it. I find the better way is I go ahead and disconnect the wires up here at the top. Now I've laid out my order. My A wire is first. I've got a channel here that the wires run in. I've got my A wire first, then it goes B, then it goes to my C, then it goes to my D. Sometimes they'll be crisscross, but whenever I extract them, I make sure I open up this cover, and I reposition them to where they're alphabetically in order for myself to simplify things. So my A, I just disconnect from the top here. But my B, C, and D, I just like to pop out these little magnetic sensors, the red switch, and I tuck them back through the holes. Alright, so that part's disconnected. Now I got to get this shaft on this actual, which goes to the slip clutch. I've got some set screws here. We need to release those so this shaft can pull my direction, which gets it out of the solenoid on the other side of the equipment. I've got a 3mm Allen wrench to break it free. Then slide that over. The slip clutch shaft will slide to what would be the right of your screen a little, the upper right, but it's actually, I'm taking it out of the other side over here. I'll bring you over so you can see real quick what I'm doing. This side right here, I'm grabbing it and I'm bringing it out of there, so now it can be removed. Now that I've got that room in the shaft, everything is free to slide. One thing I do now, just to show you, I've already got a mark here. It'll make it easy though. Take you a knife. I'm gonna bring you over again. Sorry about this. Alright, it's kind of difficult to see, but on this, Put you around this way. Now you can see you got a magnetic cam right here on the end of this. See if I give you a little light, wonder if it'll help out. Okay, so you've got there's a magnetic cam right there in the center of the light. That's your magnetic cam. It's held onto this shaft. There's on the side of it, there you can barely see it. I might be able to point it out to you. I use it as a reference point. Sorry, I'm trying to get positioned. Okay. Right here, there's basically a line molded into the plastic of this magnetic cam. So what I do is I take a knife, and I've already got a mark here scored, so I'm not going to do it again. I'd score this with my knife just on that shaft, so I can locate where to realign that mark on that plastic magnetic cam with the shaft. Some people lower the table down, because what the issue is, I can't get this housing out. Sorry. I can't get this entire housing out unless I get this cam right here basically pointed to the right side of your screen. Right now it's holding me up from extracting it. But since I've put a mark, a reference point on here, now I just take the cam, because these are not overly tightened down. You tighten these too tight, it'll break. So it's just a snug fit, because there is no real tension on this or force against this. It just rotates as a marker. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to rotate it forward. Kind of had a bad position here. There we go. I'm going to rotate this forward. So now I can slide the cam out, the cam switch cluster out just to the left side of your screen without that cam, the magnetic one, getting in my way now. And when we put it back in, I'll just push this down and line it up with my reference point again. Alright, so now that the switch cluster housing is able to slide out and back and forth, I'll pull this shaft into myself a little bit, and I'm going to tip the head out and lift it up a little. You can bring it out. You can bring it out the back side. You can bring it out this top side this way. Just whatever way is easiest on you, just to extract it is all you need to do. Alright, now that I've got it out, I'm going to take you in the back and we're going to go ahead and try and clean this up. Alright, so we've got the entire slip clutch and the switch clutch housing, the switch cluster housing inside. You can leave it attached. You can do all this work with it attached. You don't have to take it off, or I don't. It's just extra work removing it and putting it back on. So you take your vise, open it up. Let me get you closer here so you can see what I'm doing. And just to make, like I said, you can do it with it in the housing. I'm going to just go ahead and extract it so I can point it in the camera a little bit better. Okay, so now I've just got the shaft with the slip clutch on it. Let me get you closer. Alright, so I've got the slip clutch right here, and if you notice there's a deep notch here. It's pretty dark. That's the entry notch where we bring the whole setup through, where these two rolled pins are able to fit through. And then you've got pressure settings here for how much tension you want to put against the spring in the middle. I'd always recommend going in the first notch. Don't go in the second or the third. That's just too much tension whatsoever for this device to do what it's supposed to do. Remember, there's not supposed to be any grease in here. Grease will cause friction, which causes it not to slip. You want it to be dry to slip and move. So I'm going to lock the vise around this smaller collar without too much tension, just so it can hold it for me. And then I'm going to pull it. I'm going to pull, compressing the spring, and I will rotate this shaft
counterclockwise. Alright, so right now, I'm going to pause you for a second, maybe I can make this visually easier. Alright, so what I did was I just took a piece of orange electrical tape, put it on here, so you could actually maybe see when I rotate the shaft which way I'm going directionally, even though I say clockwise or counterclockwise. So I got it into the vise. I'm going to go ahead and clamp it down on the thinner part here, not too much pressure, but enough so it'll hold it, and whenever I twist and turn it, it'll retain the spring and this piece right here for me. So I'm going to pull towards the right direction of your screen, compressing this spring here, and then I'm going to rotate this shaft counterclockwise. Alright. Now it is free. It is coming back through the two slots where the rolled pin goes through. So I've got a lot of extra tension off of everything here. Now that I got the slack, I can rotate this front cap 90 degrees and pull it straight out. There's two sets of notches here. And get you where you can see a little better. Use this white bucket to my advantage. There are two sets of notches here. The two that go all the way through, sorry about that, the two that go all the way through are just to get it on the shaft and to run the rolled pin through. And then you probably can't see it, but exactly at a 90-degree angle, there we go. At a 90-degree angle, there's two more notches, and those are to actually lock and hold it all into place. So now I'm just going to go ahead and keep rotating each part so you can see it. I'm going to rotate each part and extract it. See those two? Put in some light there. You can see the two notches I came through on that washer. Now you got your gear wheel. Same thing, rotate it, extract it. The other washer. The other slip washer. Pressure tension plate coming off the spring. And the original tension housing. I will go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and leave this tape on here. Whenever I'm done at the end, I'll remove it, but then you'll be able to see a little better whenever I am actually tightening it and turning it clockwise. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe down all the shaft. I'm going to wipe down and clean all the parts that I just took off, just by getting a rag, because all this needs to be remaining dry and clean when you're done. No lube on it. So the shaft's cleaned off. Not really much you can do with the spring. Clean your washers. So you can see some of the dirt coming off there of what was on it. Clean that gear wheel real good. Now there are multiple ways to clean these gear wheels. Sometimes I use Q-tips. Other times I just use a rag. You can take a rag. You don't have to use a vise. You could, if you're squatting down on a lane while you're cleaning the lane, you could put it underneath your foot, and I'll just pull some tension in here, and I'll hit in between all the teeth. So I'm pulling, and get you back a little bit. So I'm pulling tension in the rag, and then I'm taking almost like a shoe shine, taking the teeth and hit each tooth. As I go down it, then I rotate teeth, and I go down it again, rotate. So I'm spinning it in my hands as I'm actually doing this. And then you can go back through and make sure all your teeth are clean. Looks good. Just over there. Alright, so that's how you clean it all up. Now we need to get it back together. Go ahead and just start with your original, the plate that we put in the vise, or the bushing, plastic bushing we put in the vise. It's got the get you where you can see again, using the cabinet or something. So we got the notches right through the middle there. Those are going to go straight through these rolled pins on the shaft. Get lined up. There we go. Go all the way down past your third set. 1, 2, 3. Alright, and just hold it here with your thumb or whatnot. Then you're going to take your other, need the spring. Got to have some tension. Pay attention. Got to have tension. Put the spring on. Then you put your other pressure plate, your metal washer back on. Slip gear, second metal washer, and then your final tension plate, retention plate. And like I said, it slid on. It slid on. Now rotate it 90 degrees and bring it back up and lock it into place. So it is set there in its position. Then rotate all these individual pieces back. Sorry, I'm trying to get that washer to rotate, which it doesn't want to. It's being uncooperative. Come on. There. Bring it back. Bring your gear, slip clutch gear back. Your other washer. So I'm rotating it all over top of this pin here that keeps holding me back. There we go, and now we get the spring up against the base and move the tension plate up. You got to align. Remember, you got 2 notches in the plate here. It's very hard to see in this light in this position, and you need to position those to. Sorry, I'm going to slide this spring back to show you. You got your rolled pin right here. You got to line that up to get through the notch in that retention in the tension setting plate here. I just rotated it around and you'll feel it drop in. You'll probably see it drop in as I rotate it. There it was. Alright, so now I know I'm set to pull through. I'm going to get you repositioned over the vise. Open it up a little bit. I'm going to put the orange probably in the middle. It'll be easier for you to see. Clamp the tension down. Sorry about all this. Just getting you set up where you can see what's going on the best. Alright, now I got a little bit of tension on this collar again. I'm going to pull it to the right of your screen and I'm going to rotate it, which would be clockwise this time. I'm not sure if last time I did that clockwise or counterclockwise. I may have shown it wrong. Anyhow. So I rotated it, I put it into the first notch setting, the very first tension setting. Let me get you some light, I can see it's pretty dark. I put it into that very first notch right there. Alright, so now that we're all set up, the slip clutch is back together. I can go ahead and put it into the housing. I'll go ahead and get my gear wheel. Go ahead and slide it back on. Go ahead and go back into the housing. And I'm going to go ahead and put this this lock collar back on. It's not going to be. I'm going to have to pressure fit it when I get it back in. But I'm just going to go ahead and install it now, so as I'm carrying it back to the lanes, everything doesn't fall apart on me. Just a little bit of tension just to hold it, because you're going to have to move it and adjust it later on. Alright, it's time to get back out to the lanes. Alright, as we put this back in, you got to pay attention that there is basically a channel through here, through the middle. You're going to have a piece of, I'm going to use my staff card. Your metal from down here on this track is going to rest right in between there, right along that. Go ahead and feed your shaft, get it back down in there. Whatever easy way you discovered. Now I'm resting the metal part of the shaft of the slip clutch just on the other side. I haven't inserted it into the solenoid that fires it to the drive wheel of the setting table, the drive gear wheel. Make sure all these are out of my way. You got to watch if you did it the way I did it, you got to watch this A switch wire that you don't pin it down. So now that I'm aligned a little bit or squared up, I'm going to slide this housing over and I'm going to get it in the notch that I just pointed out to you in the video. So now it should be in that notch. I can slide it to what would be to the right side of your screen. I'm going to push these two top tabs down. So now I'm in underneath this lip. Slide it over. I'm going to go ahead and position the slip clutch into the solenoid, the hole where it lines up with. Alright, everything's looking good. My wires aren't pinched. Alright, I think I'm set up. So I'm going to go ahead and reattach my screws. As always, when I'm working on this equipment, I like to get all my screws in first before I tighten the first one down. Seems as always, if I tighten any one of them down, then I can't get the others to line up. So I at least just make sure everything can go in first. Good deal. There. Should be a fourth and final one. It's hiding from me. There it is. Alright, so they're all set up. Don't put too much tension on your drill. I usually run it in like a number 4 because I'm going metal into plastic. I don't want to strip out the plastic of the switch cluster housing. Now my two tops. I'm going to go ahead and run the A switch up to the side here and connect it. And I'm going to show you something about these red switches. I'm going to go ahead and have to extract one to show you this. We'll just work on the B here. Don't want to mess with the D switch. For the C, I'll just work on this B one. It's got a little bit of... Alright, hopefully you can see this. I'm not going to try and readjust. I'm going to use a knife to point it out. On this red switch, most of this housing is a dark red, and then there is the cap that goes in the end of it. You'll notice, you probably can't notice in the video, but it is a different hue color. It is a lighter red. That is how I set my switches. You've got I'm going to have to bring you over to this side. Come with me. Hopefully you're set up to see properly. Looks like it. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to get adjusted. So you've got the housing, the clip that it goes into. There's a top piece right here. The top edge of this. I don't want that red cap that is a different color to go past this. I want that red cap to sit right above the edge of this retaining clip, and I want the different colored red to start from the lip of that bracket down. Alright? Hopefully I can snap it in here and show you. I'll be pointing in the right direction. Let me bring it in from the top first, just so I don't have to reroute the wires the hard way. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and snap it in. It's actually a little lower than I want, so I'm going to bring it up. There we go. That's how I want my switch. The different colored, I'm going to use my knife to get my fat fingers out of the way. If I can get it to open with one hand. Ugh. There we go. The different colored red is right at the edge here of this lip of this catch, of this retaining clip. Where it changes color is from here all the way down. This is all dark red, right from that point right there. That's how I line up my switches in this cluster. That's how deep I put them into there. Alright, so I'm going to get you back up, and I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of these switches in. I'm going to reattach that B switch. Tuck everything back down inside. Realign it back up to where my wires go A, B, C, D. Alright, now I need to feed the C through. There's my C switch. Good. Run the D. Put the D through the hole. Clip it in. Alright, so now all my switches are reconnected. As you recall earlier, we got to get this magnetic cam placed back in its original position, and thanks to the score mark, all I got to do is rotate it down, which would be in your position, would be clockwise. I'm going to rotate it. And I'm going to look for that set mark and realign it like so. Alright, so my magnetic cam is all back where it's supposed to be in its position. Slip clutch, I got it pressed all the way over. Alright, now I'm going to take my gear wheel, this spiral gear wheel, and I'm going to push it up tight. I'm going to push the shaft away from me with a good amount of tension, and I'm going to tighten this gear wheel down. It's important you put a good amount of tension on this. This right here is a big part in keeping yourself from getting error code 76s, which would be your spotting tong switch down on the table. You do need that inner bushing as well to be tight. You're creating a sandwich, a pressure sandwich basically, on this housing here. If you don't have them tight together, you're going to get a lot of bounce back in your square shaft right here. That's going to make your spotting tong switch on the table keep acting up and give you 76, 76, 76 time and time again. Alright, so now I'm going to push from the inside. Go ahead and use my knife. I'm going to break it free. Remember, I put that bushing in the tool room just on loosely. I'm going to break it free so I can adjust it. Alright, so it's loose now. I'm going to use a knife and push through this hole. I'm going to go ahead and line up both of my set screws. I like them to be one right in line with the other, so if I ever got to work on them and tighten them, I don't have to look to find them. Once I find one, I find the other. So I got my set screws lined up. I'm going to push through this hole with a knife. You could use a flathead screwdriver. I find it's harder to go with your hands inside and push with your hands. There's just not a lot of room in there to get as much force as you could get this way. Come on. Alright, so I got a little bit of tension. I'm going to switch my Allen head over to give me more leverage. There we go. Alright. So that's all set up. Now I just need to drop my square shaft back in. that should be it. I'm going to go ahead and put the case coat, the black guard back on. And that's everything on that switch cluster, how to clean it, the slip clutch, cleaning it and removing the switch cluster housing and putting it back into place. Everything's good to go again.